hit harder. One pass, one dunk, everything can shift. Legacies aren't given here, they're earned. New stories are ready, and new champions are coming. Season 2 is here. Stand tall for British basketball.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the National Basketball Performance Centre in Manchester. It's playoff time and the Bristol Flyers are in town. The sights are set on the O2 Arena in a couple of weeks' time, but will either of these teams manage to navigate their way to London? Manchester have already been in a couple of finals this season. They've come up on the wrong end, both of them. They want to end this campaign with some glory. For Bristol, they've never been to the playoff final. Could this be their year? They've got 80 minutes to sort it out. It's Manchester basketball against the Bristol Flyers here for the opening game in the Super League basketball playoffs. Daniel Routledge alongside Jason Swain. Jason, these teams have slugged it out all season. Now it comes down to do or die basketball. Yeah, definitely, and you can wipe out the season and how they've all played in the regular season, but tonight it's just about who wants it more. Will guys be ready to go home? Will guys be ready to give it that one extra push and see their team go deep into the playoffs? Well, Manchester, obviously, having been to the Cup final, having been to the ENBL final, have had a taste of the big game. They haven't had a taste of silverware. Does that drive them on? Yeah, well, pardon the rudeness to football fans, but they are the Arsenal of our league this year. They have been so close on two separate occasions. However, in their second season of existence, it's still an achievement. Can they go one step further and put the icing on the cake? Well, at the other end of the floor, the Bristol Flyers got a win to come into this thing to guarantee themselves 6th place. They didn't have the greatest momentum coming into the playoffs, but they'll be looking to build on that victory last week against Newcastle. They will, and they take momentum from the regular season. However, they will also take comfort that their 2 wins against Manchester have been in this building, so that they are more than capable of what you would probably look at as an upset. And coach, he will be so really enthused to see his team come out with energy, and that's what will determine the tempo tonight. And they will have the second leg at home. Here are the schedule for this weekend's action. Manchester, Bristol tonight, 3 other ties. The first leg is tomorrow. London going up to Newcastle, Leicester and Sheffield playing for the 3rd time in a couple of weeks, and then Surrey hosting Cheshire. Then we have all 4 second legs for you. Set Sunday aside, it's all on DAZN here. 3 o'clock it starts in Bristol. The second leg in Sheffield is at 4. 5:30 for Cheshire. Rounding it all off at 7 o'clock down in London. Your day is absolutely sorted. No worries for that on Sunday. Well, earlier Jason caught up with the 2 coaches to see how they were feeling ahead of this huge playoff game.
So, Andreas, welcome to the playoffs of 2026. It's not your first time you've ever been in the playoffs. You'll be used to playoff action. It's good to know that your team has won 2 on the bounce here in Manchester. That must be comforting coming in tonight.
Yeah, I think winning on the road is always good, right? But league records don't matter. Those wins don't matter anymore. I think it comes down to this 2-game series. We know Manchester are playing well. Obviously, they're coming from the NBL Final 4. We just got to be really sharp out there. Just we know it's got to be over 2 legs. Just we have an understanding of how the playoffs work. Both teams do. So we're just ready for a physical battle.
And Manchester, you know, they've been the bridesmaids of 2 trophies this year and just missed out, so they'll be really keen. The energy must come from them, but Will Yoakum provided the energy last time here with 21 points. How important is that style of play to you guys tonight?
For sure, for us, it's going to be important. Will has been one of our top scorers all season. We've got to push the pace. You know, the reality is playing them on their home court. We will need to score the basketball, and finding some easy baskets in transition and do the things that Will Yoakum offers us with his cutting activity, his rebounding is going to be very important to us today.
And lastly, I'll just refer to the 2 legs. You played here tonight, you play at your place on Sunday. So is it a must-win, or do you just need to remain in striking distance?
If we're winning, extend the lead. If we're down, minimize the deficit. I think that's the mentality really for us. Possession by possession, we know the importance of the 5-minute battles. 5 minutes can make a difference in this series, basically. We've got to be concentrated throughout the 40 minutes. We know this is just the first half.
So, Coach Orton, welcome to the playoffs, the trophy final and also the EMBL finals behind you. But knowing you guys finished second in both, you guys must be chomping at the bit to get going in these playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit, obviously it's accomplishment in the season we've had, the places we've been, making it to 2 finals. But I think we agreed that we wanted to go for some hardware this season, and that's kind of been the mindset going into this. But it's early stages. Bristol's a good team, and playoffs are a time to measure your final product of your development as a team, and that's what both teams are going to show today. We've had all season to work on these do or die games. Have we improved? Are we ready? And I have a good feeling about my team today.
Well, I think the whole of the Super League would echo that you've had a great season. It's just not been enough, but it's definitely been a credit to the rest of the English league in total. But this series between Bristol, you've played them 4 times, but every time you've played, the away team has won. So it is an advantage to have the first game here and the next game away. What's the psychology around that?
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I haven't mentioned that to the team. It's more about taking advantage of this home court. Our fans getting up behind us. I know our team plays in most situations with big energy at home with the fans behind them. So that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at the past results. We're looking at what's going to happen tonight and what kind of energy we're going to bring tonight.
Well, let's get into the ones to watch for today's game, Jason. He's been one to watch all season. Unbelievable in the EMBL final. Max Jones.
Yeah, well, 4th in scoring in the league with 17.9 points per game in his first pro season is nothing to be sniffed at, but 10 points per game in the Big 12 back in Kansas has showed he can already play on the big stage. That huge final in the EMBL, it all came up without a win, but he has been superb, and he's been a great addition to the league to watch. The thing I like about him, Dan, is he's had the highest scoring game of his season against Bristol. So coming in, a 31-point game he had against them back in March. That means that he will be ready to go again, although last time they played, they only had 4 points here. So will he come out firing? I'm sure he will.
Well, at the other end of the floor, they've got Zach Anderson, has been scoring pretty well in recent weeks.
And he's a nightmare matchup, because in the locker room, when you look around and say, well, who's guarding him? Well, is he as a small guy? Can you guard him because he can go inside? But as you see on these highlights, if you're a big guy, he'll take you to the perimeter and he'll own that trifecta land. He's always been over 40% shooting in not only his professional career, but also his college career at George Mason. So as you can see right now, he can back you down or he can kill you from the perimeter.
Well, with his namesake Joe Anderson out for the Flyers, they will be leaning heavily on guys like him to put extra points on the board. Let's have a look at the lineups for the 2 teams going in to this game, starting off with the Bristol Flyers. And I mentioned the big news for them, no Joe Anderson. What that means is Cam Christen stays in the starters, but they do have Cam Holden, who's more than capable. 13 assists last weekend against Newcastle, creating for his teammates.
Yeah, we get to soak it all in before the game, Dan, and we were talking about just that. Is Cam Holden better on or off the ball? I think the interview I did last time with him here, he's more comfortable and likes the ball in his hands. And as you said and I said, he can distribute and make everyone better on the floor. So will it be definitely will be a miss for Joe Anderson's speed. But yeah, Cam Holden can fill that gap.
Well, at the other end of the floor, Manchester Basketball with DJ Mitchell in the starting lineup, their most recent addition, which means they go without a natural center in this lineup, so they go a little smaller with Nicholson coming off the bench.
But if nothing else, all these players are used to the rotation, because up until Christmas, he didn't really know who his best starting five was. So, you know, Donovan Mitchell now inserted into the starting five will not really mean a massive change for Matt Nicholson and co. They'll just get on with business as usual.
Well, the fives are out there, and we are almost set to get it underway here. Super League basketball playoffs begin here in Manchester, and it's the home team with the first possession. Aggressive defense from Holden to try and prevent Smith getting around the screen, but holding foul is called. So that'll be a sideline ball for Manchester. Into Jones. Jones started to Cassie, slip into the rim for two.
Adatu Cassie, not usually at the high post and cutting down the middle, usually plays from the wing, but a nice pass and a nice catch, and Adatu Cassie strikes first.
Here's Kristen. Back to Holden. Holden, they've sagged off him, so he shoots the three, doesn't go. Nearly an offensive rebound. It will be a Bristol ball.
Well, nothing should surprise us in the Super League this year, but Cam Holden gunning from three definitely is a surprise. It's the only thing he doesn't do with consistency, but was dared to try one and comes up short there.
Made just 17 across the regular season as Anderson is out of bounds, and Manchester will get the ball back.
I never understand that, Dan. The amount of times that players will toe the line on the sideline and not know where they are, it makes me wonder, how do you not know where you are on the basketball court?
Well, for the first few years when they lengthened the three-point line, I gave them a pass, but this generation all grew up with this wider three-point line, so it shouldn't really come as a surprise where the sideline is.
Yeah.
Here's Kristen, driving hard to the rim, can't quite lay it home.
Good defense by Adatu Cassie to really make him change the shot.
Here's Mitchell. Smith feeds Mitchell underneath for the layup.
That's twice they've gone down the middle, Dan, for successive buckets. And that weak side help from Bristol will be what coach Andres Kapoulis will be not happy about, because they need to get off on the weak side and plug that painted area.
Kristen, back to Holden. Yoka, 5 on the clock. Anderson from miles out, front iron, comes all the way back to him, gets back to the three-point line. That's a little short as well. Batted about, Bristol have it, do they? No, it's stolen away and kept in play by Smith. Jones shovels it to Mitchell, went up for the jam, nothing called, he's screaming for a foul. Smith hits the triple.
Well, it works out well for Manchester as a scrambling play allows PJ Smith the open one, but a good take by Donovan Mitchell. Looked like it was a foul, and nevertheless, Manchester respond well. So that's the thing they're going to have to do tonight. Both teams are going to punch early, and can they respond and roll with maybe the no calls or the little misfortunes in play?
Well, it is Manchester who have scored the first 7 points of the contest. Bristol 2 minutes in, still looking for their opening score, and Zach Anderson gets it off the window.
Yeah, trusty from the mid-range as well as inside. Zach Anderson spins and goes with the right hand. That was a nice touch, Dan.
Here's Smith. Again trying to feed Mitchell, but it's broken up this time. They have numbers here, Bristol. Anderson back to Holden. Joachim puts it on the floor. Yora stepping his way to the rim.
Well, if you remember the last time in this building when Bristol were here, it was Joachim that set the tempo. He provides the energy, the highest scoring guard on this floor for Bristol.
Unbelievable third quarter in that game to turn it round, Will Joachim.
Yeah.
Here's Jones driving hard to the rim. Good stand by Kristen. Jones is slow to his feet. Bristol running. Here's Holden. Jones is still on the floor, so it's 5 on 4. Kristen getting to the rim and lays it in. And Jones is still not back off his, up off the floor.
Well, yeah, it's not going to be a serious injury, but any man will know that the contact in that area is more than discomforting as Max Jones takes one to the the groin area, so he just will be a little bit winded. I'm sure he'll get up and be okay, but Bristol weren't stopping, Dan, showed no mercy.
Well, I think Coach Houghton was a little disappointed that one of his players didn't commit a foul there. You're 5-on-4, you've got to take one for the team.
Yeah, I think Adatu Cassie did. I think he tried to really hip check on that drive, but suppose he would have given him one up anyway.
Well, a few of the Cheshire Phoenix players have just walked in. Of course, that is by seeding the potential matchup, Manchester against Cheshire. Both have to win, though. Here's Smith driving to the rim and can't convert the layup, but he will go to the line for two.
And this is where Joe Anderson will be missed, because we spoke before the game about the quickness at the guard spot of both areas. Take Joe Anderson out of that, they do get a little bit slower, because PJ Smith, an absolute nightmare to stay in front of, and if they get a switch, he can go to work.
Well, Manchester scored the first 7 points. Bristol got the last 6. That run has come to an end as Smith makes it 8-6.
I think it's worth noting, a lot of these players, it's their first year out of college, and PJ Smith is one of those guys, and he's been so good, especially after the Christmas break, in just maintaining his poise and focus. And at this point of the year, he's arguably playing his best basketball.
Is there a damp patch on the floor? I think there is. The referee spotted it as we were about to make our way down court. And we'll have to get that mopped up, and we'll take it from the side. Manchester 9, Bristol 6. Early stages of the opening game in Super League basketball playoffs. Final in a couple of weekends' time in the O2. Here's Holden, gets it to McCormack. First real sighter for him, and he knocks it down.
Well, the last time they were here, McCormack had that double-double, 13 points and 10 rebounds. And he has been a constant in most games he's played this year. An unsung hero, you would say.
Well, added to Cassie, we've been so used to watching him shoot corner threes. You don't often see him shoot one at the top there, but that's the lineup, really. That's why he's there.
Yeah, you're right. I did say earlier, he's no business going down the middle and laying the ball up. He never does it. And there you had a shot from the point. And usually he spreads the floor and shoots from the corner, but I suppose it's the same distance in many spots apart from the corner.
Apart from the corner, a little closer. Well, Gabe Ossaboyne is checked in, and Brody too. So we got some proper centres, I would say, out there now, Jason.
Old-fashioned centres, back to the basket. You very rarely see that Shaquille O'Neal type player with his back to basket. Most guys will face you up and try bring out the Kevin Durant handles.
Well, now we've got a real centre in Nicholson as well out there. So it's an interesting lineup now with Ossaboyne, Adetukasi and Nicholson all on the floor. Just the two guards for Manchester as Smith's shot doesn't go. They've got so much talent, though, it's hard to get it all on the court at the same time. Jones, 5 on the clock, steps back for 3. Off the mark, Ossaboyne trying to get another offensive rebound, but Bristol come away with it. Yoakum lets it fly, and that rattles him, flies in front.
And that's where Cam Holden is very, very smart. He had a wide open guy on the right-hand side, but no Will Yoakum can get going early. Spotted him on the left. Great decision by Cam Holden.
Added to Cassie, taking it down the middle again. This time he's fouled by Brody.
So there is a serious point to this remark I'm going to make now, but I'm going to take the opportunity to say early on that both Nicholson and Ossaboyne are on 0 fouls because they've only just come into the ball game. But that is an advantage in coming off the bench. So with 5 minutes gone, they will only probably, you would say, finish this quarter on 1 foul at max, which is something that is a rarity for Coach Matthew Houghton.
Well, there's just a substitution being made by Bristol, which is why the referee stopped it there. But yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. We talked about that EMBL final. Gabe Ossaboyne fouled out in 4.5 minutes of playing action in that final, and obviously they wouldn't have got to the final without him. That unbelievable fourth quarter performance in the quarterfinal, but he wasn't able to get any rhythm because of the fouls in that final.
And you have to admire that, you know, everyone on the roster as well as the coaches learn, and it looks like he's said, well, I'll bring him off the bench to prevent that. But yeah, unbelievable game in Dinamo Zagreb where he only had 4 points and dominated the whole show.
Yeah. Well, it is Bristol who lead by 2 at the midpoint here of the quarter. Holding back to Anderson. Down to Brody. Brody trying to work on Nicholson, who stands him up, does a good job and gets the rebound.
Nice play by Nicholson to gather the ball after challenging the shot very well.
Johnson, little shimmy shake for 3, gets a flop warning as he hits the deck. Pass is deflected, it still gets to Yoakum. Out to Brown. Holden. He backs away. They're going to step off him again. Shot clock at 5. Yoakum along the baseline looking for some room. And I think Adi Takasi tried to bump him out and gets called for the foul.
Well, Cam Holden being dared to shoot the 3 ball. Whenever there's a screen action with him, guys are going under and just backing up almost into the painted area. Daring Cam Holden to shoot. Nice drive there by Will Yoakum.
Well, it's 30% on the season, Cam Holden. That's about spot on for his career in British basketball.
Sorry, Dan, I'm laughing because you sounded surprised. You were like, well, it's a really good thing,
well,
you know?
no, he doesn't shoot a lot. But, but at 30%, you know, you can't totally leave him.
No, you can't.
Here's Jones trying to drop it down. Oh, Nicholson did get it in the end. Is that on Holden? It's going to be his second. And that is a big blow. We talked about the lack of Joe Anderson. Holden is obviously the guy that you know can create for the rest of his team. But he's going to have to go to the bench here in the first quarter on 2.
I thought it was really unlucky. I mean, Matt Nicholson not really used to those bounce passes below the knee, so somehow that basketball got through. And as he gripped it, Cam was definitely, pardon the pun, holding. And he'll go out with 2 fouls, and yeah, big loss at this point of the game.
Well, Christian comes back, Walsh into the game for the first time. As Nicholson makes the front end of 2.
It's been a fascinating matchup for the 2 teams. I mean, just to win away from home, the same as Manchester have done against London, you would argue that they're coming in much more relaxed, Bristol, than they are in their own backyard. And if they can get this one, it then gains momentum going into the second.
Well, if they had any sort of lead to take home with the atmosphere down there on Sunday, they'd fancy their chances. Here's Osamoyan. Pushing, trying to get it to Adi Takasi. It's another pass that's a little low. Johnson. Johnson scooting along the baseline, drops it off to Osamoyan. Stood up well by Brody. Here is Walsh, where he always is, out in the open court. You can always count on Evan Walsh to get the breakaway points.
I mean, you rewind to your school days where someone would always run, and Evan Walsh has perfected that at the professional level. Whenever there's a shot gone up, he's always the quickest guy down court, leaking out for an easy 2. Bristol up by 2. Good for their money right now.
Well, a timeout has been called by Coach Matthew Otten. And the thing is, you remember, Manchester scored 7 points in the first 2 minutes, the first 7 points of the game. So it's 14-5 in the last 5 minutes in favor of Bristol.
Yeah, and in any sport, the object is to come and settle down when you're on the road, quieten the crowd and get into your rhythm, and they've done just that. Manchester playing really well from the get-go, and Bristol responding. Evan Walsh laying the ball up. It's going to be a good one, Dan, I think.
Although I'm almost beholden to say he went with the wrong hand there.
Being the purist
If
you are.
If your kid's watching at home, that's not what you do.
Look away now.
Left hand on the left side, right hand on the right side.
But I once heard a commentator say they don't paint pictures on the stat sheet.
Yeah, that's true. And if you ever saw me in the open court, I'd be right hand on the left side as well.
Yeah, I don't. I think right now, if either of us was in the open court, I don't think we'd get there in time.
We'd be caught.
Shot clock violation.
Well, teams making their way back out onto the floor here in Manchester. Added to Cassie to Mbam. Bristol showing full court, but only a show. Nicholson. Osborne trying to thread the needle. Brody booted that one, so it'll be a reset of the shot clock.
Really interesting Coach Otton's philosophy on playing certain guys together, both Donovan Mitchell and Max Jones playing together, and then now we see in these last 3 minutes, we'll see PJ Smith and Jordan Johnson. So your purist of coaches would say that won't work. You need one or the other, but it has done for Otton this year.
Well, here's one passing to the other, and Johnson pulling up at the free throw line just enough to rattle in.
So smooth, Dan, Jordan Johnson.
Walsh lobs it up towards Brody, who did well just to get a hand on that, couldn't jam it in. Cross court to Smith. Bumped out of bounds by McCormack. That will be the 5th foul on the Flyers, so 2 free throws coming.
Well, at the other end, that's probably the most emphatic miss we're going to have tonight.
Yeah.
Brody was skied in the air, and Evan Walsh thought he might have been fouled. But PJ Smith having his way in terms of quickness, Dan. He seems to go anywhere he wants without Joe Anderson on the floor.
Five points so far for PJ Smith as he looks to add to that tally and put Manchester back in front. Both of those are good. Carey trying to prevent the ball getting in Brown's hands. Brody on to Walsh. McCormack. Offensive foul is called on Darnell Brody.
I didn't just catch that, Dan, but it's a call they've made consistently over the course of the season. The moving screen has been called on every single play. You just can't see it, but he did look to extend the arm, so
I think it's also that thing of if you're rolling whilst you're screening, they don't like that. Johnson down to Mitchell, has the size here. Can't finish. Great rebound from McCormack. Kristen attacks and lays it home.
Great work by Delpeche to seal off anyone coming for the shot block, allowing Kristen a run down Main Street. Nice play by Delpeche.
Lobbed into Nicholson, but broken up by Delpeche, and McCormack comes away with it. Brown behind the screen for 3 off the mark. Mitchell's going to step into this one. Great rebound by Nicholson, but he loses the ball as he tries to go back up with it. Here's Kristen. Kristen knocks down the triple, Flyers back ahead.
Well, he shows you how it's done on the open court as DJ Mitchell missed at the other end, but Matt Nicholson caught that bar of soap and then let it split.
Johnson with the speed.
Oh, nice.
Drops it out to Mitchell, who jams it in.
Well, that will be on your social media. Check your Instagram and everything else, because the nice behind the back by Jordan Johnson and Donovan Mitchell with the courtesy to flush the ball.
Foul called against Smith. It's only the third foul of the quarter on Manchester for the hold, as Brown had good position inside.
Smart play by Jonathan Brown there, going right down the middle and posting the smaller Smith up. One way to stop PJ Smith is to get him to pick up some fouls.
Well, Manchester have done a good job of avoiding that in this quarter. Here's Brown. Little step away to the elbow is good.
That was a tough shot because Kyle Carey stayed with it all the way. Almost had his hand on the basketball. Shot is made by Brown. Tough shot.
Carey. Down to Mitchell. Mitchell gets it to Johnson. Johnson is fouled. Will that count? Yes, it will. Basket is good for Jordan Johnson, and he'll go to the line for a bonus free throw.
Really good recognition. As soon as he saw that foul was going to committed, he picked the basketball up and then decided to get into his steps. A really heads-up play by a professional scorer.
Well, he's got the chance to level the scores here with 7 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. And he does. Walsh somehow splitting between the defenders, shoves it off to Delpech. Sensational play from Evan Walsh. Looked like he might turn it over at half court, but he kept the ball and found his teammate.
Somehow got through that gap. He kind of had that little dribble with about a centimetre between the ball and the floor. Allowed Delpech the easiest. What a finish, and what a start by Bristol.
Well, you think they were down 7-0, didn't score for the first 4 or 5 trips down the floor. Manchester looking in a rhythm, but Bristol responding really well. And they will lead at the end of the first quarter here, 21 points to 23. And we'll have a look at the numbers. And the one that leaps off the page for me, Jason, is Manchester 1 of 7 from the three-point line.
Well, you can only say that as a good thing for Manchester, because you make one of those, they are up. But the other side of it that you cannot see is Bristol have 7 guys that are already on the board. Some games, that's all you have during the whole course of the game. They're sharing the basketball, and Manchester right now don't really know who to stop because everybody is contributing.
Well, let's take a look back at the highlights from the opening quarter of the Super League basketball playoffs. It started tremendously well for Manchester. That 1 3-pointer they made right at the beginning of the quarter, but Bristol responded well and really have looked very in a very good rhythm, I should say, here in the first quarter.
Yeah, you have to admire the confidence. The ball is flowing well, and it's no mistake that Cam Holden's been dictating that. But yeah, it's flowing well, it's fizzing around the perimeter, they're sharing the ball, making the extra pass, and they're really making Manchester pay.
I guess the issue they have is the fact that there's 2 fouls on Holden and 2 fouls on Brody. I mentioned some of the Cheshire players in the house. They were there, honestly. LaQuincy Rideau is here, Mike Diggins, and Pat Robinson as well. And maybe just taking in some basketball, maybe just getting a little advanced scout, just in case Manchester cross their path. As I say, that is the way the seeding suggests it should go, but you don't always get 1, 2, 3, 4 through.
You don't, but they are obviously confident they'll be in the next phase, otherwise they wouldn't be watching. But it shows the professionalism of them to make their way down on a Thursday night and taking some scout report, I would say.
Oh, stolen away by Mitchell. Johnson has Carey ahead of him. He's going to pull up for a transition 3. It's off the mark. Carey with the offensive rebound and putback.
Carey doing a little bit of everything, running the floor, picking up the garbage and muscling in that too.
Anderson. Spinning. Nowhere really to go. Gets the shot away. Mitchell with the rebound. Johnson. Jones. little step away, didn't quite get behind the line. That's only worth 2.
How about the footwork from Max Jones? Turn the corner going right, and the step back as Cam Christen goes right back.
Delpesh is there to pick up the block shot. Nicholson did a good job, but nobody helping him out. Stolen away by Brown. You won't catch him in the open court. He is lightning and super athletic. Throws it down from the top floor.
Wow, 2 dribbles, and didn't he get on the trampoline as he went airborne? His head almost at the hoop as Jordan Johnson meets fire with fire and 1.
Well, it's that thing of once you've got the defender on your side or your back, if you step across and there's contact, it's a defensive foul every time.
Yeah. Jordan
they can
Johnson.
ill afford Brown to pick up another foul. That's his first.
You can, but Jordan Johnson taking offense to that highlight poster of Jonathan Brown, goes right back at the younger player. But what a play it was. Jordan Brown going the other way. Jonathan Brown, I beg your pardon.
If you're Coach Kapoulis, what's your take on Holden and Brody in this second quarter? Obviously both on 2 fouls. How long do you want to leave it? I mean, are you somebody that says, let's see if we can get to halftime? Is it scoreboard dependent? Do you think, no, we need them for rhythm?
Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, because the guys that have come in, both Evan Walsh and Jonathan Brown, have played very well, and that stands them in good stead going into, as you say, the 80-minute game over the 2 legs. So they'll be back to contribute as well. So leaving those guys out might be a blessing in disguise.
Here's Jones looking for 3. That time he was well behind the line, and he knocks down his first triple of the game.
Yeah, well, you can see Max Killer Jones percolating right now. You can sense it in his body language, Dan, that he's going to have a big first half coming.
McCormack slips it to Walsh underneath, and he lays it home. Johnson turning the speed on, driving into traffic, and what a play from Christen to deny the shot and then get the ball back.
Well, consistent refereeing, because nothing called at one end, and if both teams, if you're looking for a whistle, Dan, find your own, because there's not one out here for the time being.
I think it was Johnson went into the chest of the defender, and he's allowed to stand his ground, Christen. Then he slaps down at the ball. As you say, it's a...
I think it's tough, because on the other end, Evan Walsh, same thing, same way. So we're no refs, but we know consistency when we see it. So good job.
I think Manchester got a warning on the bench in all of that as well. McCormack fakes the handoff, gets it to Anderson. Anderson's 3 is good. Bristol back on top.
Well, that was as pure as it gets. Just a catch and shoot by Zach Anderson. Really nice follow through.
Jones, he's going to look for a second 3 off the iron. Christen still going. Throws it straight to Mitchell, though. That's an offensive foul. Jones running down McCormack, and a technical foul has been called. Who's the technical on? Is it Jones? The foul initially is on Max Jones. The technical is on McCormack, is it?
No, it's on Max Jones.
Oh, I thought he signaled 12 there. Maybe it was 2. There's LaQuincy Rideau watching on with Mike Diggins. As I say, Patrick Robinson is here somewhere. Saw him a little earlier. It was a technical on McCormack, and that, by the way, is the second one on McCormack. It must have been for verbals.
It's very rare you see that, because the call went in his favour, and then the technical foul called on him. So, you know, how much more do you want? You have the call. He must have said something.
So that is now Holden, McCormack, and Brody on 2 fouls. Bristol having to deal with foul issues here in the first half.
Well, good for
9 to 4 the foul count. Sorry, Jason.
Sorry, Daniel. No, good for Manchester that it wasn't on Max Jones, because you know, potentially MVP type season he's having. You don't want to lose him early in this game. Speaking of MVPs, Pat Robinson in here. He must be in with a shout as well.
Certainly at the top end of that category, I should imagine. Smith. Pass deflected. Brody didn't see it. He could have got it. Irvin came up with it. Save, but not a great save because it's thrown to Anderson, who has Kristen ahead, and he lays it home. Sometimes you've got to let it go out of bounds.
Yeah, and they could have thrown that basketball anywhere but where it went. Zach Anderson picking up and Christian laying the ball in. Manchester just are out of sorts at the moment.
10-0 on fast break points in favor of the Flyers. You don't see that very often here in Manchester. They like to get out and run, so no fast break points in 14 minutes is a word for Bristol's transition defense.
It is, and it helps that you're putting the ball through at the other end, so you can come back and play defense. But I love how guys are arguing calls, not overstepping the mark as Smith splashes the three. But it means so much to either team. The energy and the emotions are very high on both teams.
First player into double figures, PJ Smith, with 11 now. Yoakum. Holden gets to the free throw line. That one has a think it goes. There's a foul on the rebound. I think Adi DeCassi is going to get called for a push. Basket will count. Bristol will get the ball back. It is Adi DeCassi for the shove in the back. And I talk about the relatively low number of fouls on Manchester. That is his second. That's a killer one as well, because it's not like you were getting an offensive rebound because the shot went in. I think you'll just see it in the bottom of your screen. It's stolen away here by Mitchell, who runs it back. He gets another jam. Well, Smith's going to get called for his second foul here. And suddenly, Manchester have some thinking to do. And a technical. Who's that on? Against Jordan Johnson. And that's his first. Referee here in the booth. I must admit, I looked at the scoreboard, so I didn't see what happened in terms of Johnson getting the technical. Well, this is some fast break points. We talked about the lack of them. The technical free throw's been missed.
Very unlike Jordan Johnson to pick up a technical foul. He's as cool as the other side of the pillow, so I'm not sure where that came from. He must have said something.
If you're going down the list of Manchester players who are going to complain about somebody else's foul, he's quite far down the list.
He is. He's quite silent and deadly, but mustn't have been on that play.
Holden. That's what playoff basketball does. Out to Christian, wide open in the corner. It's too strong. Mitchell. Off the glass, the old-fashioned bank shot doesn't drop. Holden. He's already hit one from there, and there's a second.
Wow, Cam Holden wasting no time, and you could dare him to shoot the three, but step inside there, he's deadly.
Johnson lobs it up towards Nicholson. Wasn't a great pass in. Here's Yoakum this time out in front. He's got hops as well for more fast break points for Bristol, and that has been powering their offense in this game.
Manchester have some problems, and the problems they have, we alluded to earlier, fast break opportunities by Bristol. That's about 10 points that they've had
12 now.
Uncontested at the other end, where they've just got out and run. And you can see Cam Holden really coming back and asserting his dominance. I would argue, Dan, that with those shoes, he has to have a good game.
Indeed. Well, timeout call by Coach Otten here, and really I'm guessing they're talking about fast break points in the paint, because Bristol have been relentlessly getting to the basket and scoring at the rim. 12-2, they've got that one breakaway from Mitchell a couple of minutes ago, and then 26-16 the points in the paint. And again, a lot of that is your fast break points are going to be points in the paint as well.
Well, points from turnovers, Bristol have 8 points, so, you know, they've been actual layups at the other end, and then another couple where they've got the rebound and outran everybody. But yeah, it is a big problem. In any league in the world, you allow points like that, it's going to be a long night.
Well, we talked about the foul count a little earlier. It started to even back up a little bit with Manchester picking up someone. 5 guys in the game on 2 fouls. Smith and Adikasi for Manchester, Holden, McCormack, and Brody for the Flyers.
I mean, the good boys tonight for Manchester in terms of foul count, and Nicholson and Ossaboyan,
yeah.
They're behaving themselves, leading by example. It's the influencers like Jordan Johnson that are stepping out of line.
Johnson to Nicholson, hands it off to Smith. Down to Nicholson underneath, and he lays it home.
Nice pass by Max Jones, giving up a wide open shot for an even better one. Matt Nicholson will thank him for the easy one.
Holden, he's going to fire up another 3. That one looked good from our angle, but it was short. Back out to Yoakum. He puts it on the floor, drops it off to Holden. Shot clock down to 5, going the long way round, all around the house is Cam Holden.
Oh, and credit Brody there. He just sat in the middle of the key like a statue, let everybody dribble. Cam Holden just finds an easy one because of Brody.
Top of the key doesn't go for Johnson. Holden. Round the screen. Has him on the back now and leaves that one short. Adikasi has it. Jones out and running. Jones takes it up top and lays it home.
Max Jones playing through the contact and scoring there.
Nice pass. Brody is fouled by Nicholson. And he will go to the line. 1 or 2 on the Flyers bench. Just wondering if that was a little harder than a regular foul. Referee says no.
Yeah, playoff fouls are different, Dan, but Duke Shelton wasting no time getting in and taking Matt Nicholson out. The 1 foul is already concerning Coach Otten. And as you said earlier, will both Nicholson and Ossaboyan feature later on in the game, because right now managing to stay out of foul trouble.
Well, Shelton was excellent in the semi-final in the ENBL. A real key factor in them getting through last week. And that's the other thing you sort of think about. They obviously played those 2 games in Germany last week, semi-final and the final, then came back, went to Sheffield on Sunday, and then it's the earliest game of the week here today for Manchester. Irving driving hard to the rim.
How many times has he done that? Just put the basketball on the floor and got the body contact and finish. Yeah, but all these games, you say, Dan, have been coming thick and fast. Yeah. You know, yeah, it's great to have a season going deep into the trophy, then also, hopefully for Manchester fans, into the playoffs. And the ENBL, these minutes and miles are racking up.
Well, Bristol in that period of time, they've only played 1 game, so they should have a slight freshness edge, albeit they're obviously without Joe Anderson. Brody's just gone to the bench with his 3rd foul. I think Christian stepped in too soon there. And it's going to take that free throw again. It's one of them where he would have got the rebound either way. Well, that was an even worse miss than the first one, and Christian does get the rebound. Brown looking for 3 and knocking it down.
Wow, Brown playing the point and now going to the 2 guard, making scoring look easy. Can he guard DJ Mitchell?
Johnson Bounces it out to Irvin. Johnson looking to dance with him, knocks it down.
That was beautiful, and if you remember the trophy final, you saw many a highlight from Jordan Johnson. There is what he can do.
He's into double figures now as well with 10. Brown, Delpesh rolling to the basket, too strong. And that goes out of bounds for a Manchester ball.
Jonathan Brown quietly putting a really nice game together here. He's done a little bit of everything off the ball defensively. He's stood up and been countered. And he's handling the basketball under pressure and running the show.
Jones. Stolen away by Joachim. Joachim backs away for 3 off the mark. Johnson gets it back, fires up a triple. Long rebound grab by Brown. Anderson out. Look at the numbers again. Here's Kristen. He lays it in. More fast break points.
Zach Anderson to Kristen. We've seen that already, and that one was behind him. But yeah, you said it again. Make that 14 uncontested transition buckets.
And that one's not loose. Manchester lose it out of bounds. It's going to be a Bristol ball.
I mean, the score, Dan, 48 to the Flyers. 14 points coming, like I said, uncontested. And the amount of work that he's put into stopping the transition play in any league, I would argue, all the way from the National League to the NBA, stopping the basketball is of a premium.
Well, and the amount of times that Bristol have, oh, nice block by Jones. Joachim, though, keeps it alive for the Flyers. Blocked this time by Shelton. Mitchell, cross court to Johnson. Oh, nice. And he knocks it down. That's going to be a timeout for Coach Kapoulis and the Flyers. Their lead down to a point, but this has been a fast-paced first half, Jason.
It has 2 block shots at that end from Manchester. Here's your first one by Max Jones, and then it was Duke Shelton that blocked the next one, as you can see coming. But Jordan Johnson, he consistently has got it done. Look at the footwork and look at the danger he provides for Manchester. Smooth as you like.
Well, very little to choose between them in this first half. Bristol have not led by more than 3. Manchester did have a 7-point lead, but that was the first 7 points of the game, so that was a long time ago. 26-25 here in this quarter, so 50 points already, and we've still got 40 seconds to go. Yeah,
both teams will be very happy. Manchester will be very happy with how they started and now how they're getting some 3 balls to fall, but Bristol on the road being good punch for punch, so nothing in it, Dan, which is all we wanted in the playoffs.
Well, Bristol struggled from behind the arc in the early stages of this game, but not 5 down. Manchester haven't found their rhythm that they usually have from behind the arc.
Usually you can predict as people go into the playoffs which team would play better. But this Super League has just thrown surprise after surprise. The road team has won every game, like I've mentioned. You look at the other series, Leicester winning undermanned in Sheffield, and they will play them in the playoffs. So who knows what's going to happen.
4th year in a row that Leicester and Sheffield have met in the playoffs. They've met more than any other teams in the history of top-flight British basketball by a distance in playoff basketball. Here's Anderson, and he knocks it down.
Nice shot by Anderson, rolls around and drops in, but taking his time, showing his poise.
Shot clock is off. Manchester potentially could tie it here. And Johnson looking to do exactly that, doesn't go. Brody with the rebound, just came up a little limpy, but he seems to be okay, and that will do it for the first half here in Manchester. It is the Flyers on the road who have the lead, 47 points to 50, and Coach Kapoulis will be delighted with how his team has scored in that first half. It's not easy. If you're going to win here, you have to keep that scoreboard ticking, as they found earlier in the season. They got 50 on the board.
Well, you can see him on the screen there, and as we see the game stats, we'll let you peruse that, but just as you said earlier, when he came out, he looked so serious, and he's actually cracked a smile going into the locker room. So we know that he is more than happy with the position his team in now. 50 points on the road in the Super League is good in any game, but in the playoffs against Manchester, really nothing to be sniffed at.
And Manchester, 23% from the three-point line, still haven't really picked it up, but they have got to the free throw line a lot from those early attacks.
They have, and it stops the breaking play. Free throws are so underrated. They do so many things. You not only get to shoot an easy shot, you also pick up fouls, you stop momentum, you stop the clock in certain situations, you get everyone a chance to set up defensively. So underrated, teams that can get to the line.
Well, we can look back at the highlights from this first half, and it really, I thought, after the first couple, it took Bristol a couple of minutes. They came up blank first. I think it was 5 offenses. They looked a little almost shaky at that point, but once they got themselves going and got out on the run, they were able to really push the advantage from there.
They were, and they were able to get some easy buckets, like you say, on the run. But I think, Dan, they moved the ball pretty well, even at that slow start they had. He was still fizzing round, guys were touching the ball, getting into their rhythm, but once you have easy scores at the other end, just makes things slightly easier.
I guess the thing, if you're in the Manchester locker room, they'll be talking about is, we're talking about how well Bristol have got a way down court, but how many times have they had more numbers or no defenders back at all, and it's just been an easy jam? There's an element of Manchester's transition defense in Bristol's fast break points.
Yeah, so what you're saying is it'll all be sorted by Manchester, and all they have to do is take care of the basketball and not allow Bristol to run the other way, and they'll be fine. But we both know that's easier said than done. I would argue that Bristol's defense has caused them extra passes, and Manchester have been out of sorts because of the opposition they face. Let's see if they can solve it in the locker room, like you said.
Well, it has been a really entertaining first half of basketball here in Manchester. The playoffs underway, very little between the two teams. Manchester with the early lead, but at the half it is 47-50 the Flyers lead. Jason and I will be back with second half action in just a few minutes' time.
Super League basketball is leveling up British hoops. This isn't just a league, it's a movement you can feel and see in the stands. From the first tip to the final buzzer, the story is written. Every drive, every shot, and every moment. Rivalries run deeper, games hit harder. One pass, one dunk, everything can shift. Legacies aren't given here, they're earned. New stories are ready, and new champions are coming. Season 2 is here. Stand tall for British basketball.
I'm nervous when it comes to games in general. Like, I never know the outcome of things. But just the potential of our team that we had. I was the young gun in the group. Like, I had like Miles Hesson, Orlan Jackman, Jamal Anderson. Like, they're all way older than me. So it's like I felt like I had a lot to. I just had a lot to prove, you know. And you know, I think the one goal, and I think we showed out really well. When the final shot dropped, you know, Miles hit that game winner. I went crazy. Like I'm never really one to like celebrate. Like I'm really just bland. I'm boring, monotone, whatever. I just remember getting out my seat, running up to Miles. I just gave him the fattest hug ever. I was just screaming. It was crazy. But even then, I still haven't like fathomed like what we just did. And things didn't really kick in till later on that night. It's like, I didn't take off my gold medal for like a week straight. I went to bed with my medal. I was showering my medal. I was like, I'm not letting this go. And I felt special. I felt really special. I was like, Ken just won a gold medal. About to play pro. Because like life's going the right way for me, innit? So I was like, I love it. It's crazy. Like, I still couldn't believe it. It's like going from winning the medal and then going on to just like proceeding to like go on to do what you love, earning money. It's like, this is I won't say once in a lifetime opportunity. I feel like I just needed to be around my own culture. You know, I've been around Americans for 5 years, then around Germans for 3 years. I'm just like, I want to be around my people. I want to be around my friends and family. I want people to like, I want to show my friends, I want them to come support me, which I've always wanted to do. You know, just allow them to have the opportunity to see how far I've come, you know, and just put a little show for them, make sure they have a good time. I mean, that's probably what was most important for me. Most people have never really seen me play on domestic soil, and you know, everyone's only seeing highlights or whatever it is, and no one's really seen certain aspects of my game. For example, like I love defense, so I feel like being able to show people what I'm truly capable of it's exciting. It's exciting. I hope, you know, could put on a show for these lot and show people how much of a dog I am. I got a lot of people that look up to me, you know, even if it is outside of London, no matter where it is. You know, they're able to come watch a game down in Manchester. Like, it's always a pleasure, it's always an honor. Like, I've never really realized how much I inspire people. Like, I've had people message me online, social media, you know, just saying how much they look up to me or whatever. So just having that in the back of my mind and knowing I'm capable of doing something like that, for me to be closer to home and allowing them to come, you know, make whatever comes to fruition was like, yeah, I love that. Just having, you know, young guys coming up, showcasing their talents, you know, friends who are like guys I've hooped with in the past. I feel like it's a great opportunity for us, you know, to show everyone in and outside the league, like us Brits have talent, like we can rock with these guys and just prove to them we have a spot here, you know.
Welcome to Utilita Arena for the first major final of the Super League basketball season. History waiting to be written.
The first final of the season, and it couldn't get much better than this. We are underway here in Birmingham. Nice pass out court. Mullins cashes in. What a finish as well through the contact. Rob has to heave it here. Can't get hold of the ball. Does get it away and banks it in. Hatters in full flow right now. Kick to the corner. Harrison for three. Got it and one. And the celebrations can begin.
Now we won a trophy.
The Sheffield Hatters are the Betty Cadona Trophy champions. It is the Lions era against the defending champions, the Newcastle Eagles. 40 minutes to decide who's the champion. Jack has long ahead of him. Fjord finds Cole long for the Jack. Zadamu open for three and he knocks it down. Brown attacks the rim and jams it in. Super League Basketball Trophy champions, the London Lions. Basketball here at the AO Arena.
The 2026 Super League Cup Final is underway. Harrison drains the three. Gale to the basket. Out to Hottinger. Three is good for Hottinger. Lewis spins to the basket. Great finish off the glass. Ciara finishes under the basket. Gale dancing around the outside, steps back, and will do it. The Sheffield Hatters are your 2026 Cup Final winners. This has all the right ingredients to be a fantastic final.
Speed from Phillip getting to the rim. To the spin move, what a finish from Gale Savoy. Steps away, Johnson splashes, another three. Jordan Johnson is on fire here in the final. There's McGusty and he's fouled as well. Jordan Johnson again. What a play from Tariq Phillip. McGusty does go, and McGusty from the elbow, and it is London who've made it 2 from 2. They are the Cup champions.
Super League basketball is leveling up British hoops. This isn't just a league, it's a movement you can feel and see in the stands. From the first tip to the final buzzer, the story is written. Every drive, every shot, and every moment. Rivalries run deeper, games hit harder. One pass, one dunk, everything can shift. Legacies aren't given here, they're earned. New stories are ready, and new champions are coming. Season 2 is here. Stand tall for British basketball.
Welcome back to Manchester, where we have a ball game here in the playoffs. It is 47-50. This is the first leg here in Manchester. We go back down to Bristol on Sunday afternoon for the second leg. Aggregate scoring, so it all gets added up. Every point over the 80 minutes is worth exactly the same. Let's have a look at some of the key players from the first half, starting with the Bristol Flyers. Cam Christon, Will Yoakum, tremendous for them in that first half.
Yeah, they've just kept them ticking over, and with the absence at points of Cam Holden, these two have taken matters into their own hands. But Cam Christon, the Swiss Army knife, you would say, does a little bit of everything, whether it's laying the ball up there or facilitating for others. He seems to be able to just be that glue guy. And Will Yoakum, 21 points last game here. He's just trying to repeat that tonight. Well,
Yoakum obviously has been there since the start of the season. Christon only came in just before the transfer deadline and has sort of found his way into this team, elevated his role into the starters in the last few weeks as well, and he's allowed himself to sort of develop into the team.
The thing we can't take for granted about Cam Christon as well, he's got pedigree, experience and toughness with the Cheshire Phoenix where he was before, so he will be no stranger to adversity, and when it gets down to battle, he'll stand up and be counted.
And at the other end of the floor, quite often when we come here, we end up talking about the likes of Smith and the likes of Johnson, and both of them have delivered in that first half.
Well, I love how they've been able to coexist together at times on the floor. The smallest two guys in the Manchester roster, the purists would say only one guy can play point guard, but both of these guys are interchangeable, and they've both been unselfish. good friends off the court. They've been able to make it work on the court too. If one guy has had it going, the other guy's been pleased for him, and I would say both guys have had their moments this season. Can they just both get it going into this second half and the second leg? We'll find out.
Yeah, it is one of the interesting things, because we talk about these two, we talk about Jones as well, who's got 7 points, and you think it must be hard to sort of coexist, but it seems to work as a trio.
It does, and it doesn't make sense really, and also what doesn't make sense is Jordan Johnson keeps the ball a long time, and as a point guard, you would think, why is the ball not moving? But then he's 5th in the league in assists, so he definitely can spread the wealth. And PJ Smith, as fast as they come, I think they've been great to watch too, Dan, as well. That's been something good for the league.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, this whole aggregate system. It's obviously new to a lot of the American players when they come over for the first time. They won't have played it before. Manchester obviously had to go through that to get to the 2 finals that they got to. How do you approach it in this first leg? Because it's easy to think, well, if you don't win by the biggest lead that you've got, you've left some points out there, that whole psychology of it all.
Well, it's strange, and you talk about the psychology. These, American players are used to having a series that if you finish higher in the conference or the league, you will get an extra game or you will get home court advantage at some point. But like we said earlier, I think you just got to forget it and play, because if you win this game, no matter if you're Bristol or Manchester, you have the momentum going into the second game, and all you can do is play every single play, but very hard when it gets down to 2 minutes left and you're thinking, what score is it, how many we're up? But definitely a strange one for the foreign players, I would say.
And you obviously, you played on some good teams, Jason. I can't remember. Were you ever a lower seed going into the playoffs?
I remember at Manchester we played the Leopards, and it was a 3-game series, and we finished 8th, they finished 1st.
Oh,
and we managed
I remember that, yes.
Yeah, we lost, I think, the first game, and then the next game we went down and won 2 at the Leopards. I mean, they were great that season, so it was a really, really good game, and that game too was tough.
But the psychology of being the underdog, obviously by seeding Bristol the underdog in there, did you prefer that, or you like being the top dog?
Well, you've nothing to lose. So, you lose at home, let's go and play and let's find out. But it's all about momentum. Once you win that game too, you then go into that 3rd game thinking, hey, this is possible. And we've seen teams done it before. Back in the days of Dikembe Mutombo at Denver, overcoming that Seattle team, they had no business doing that. New York with Sprewell and Houston, getting to that finals against San Antonio, they were an 8th seed. So it does happen, but I would say you always could go with a favourite if you were at the bookies.
Well, back then you got to Wembley. Now the target is to get to the O2, and don't forget, tickets are on sale right now for the final of the playoffs. Sunday the 17th of May, the O2 Arena will have the men's and the women's playoff final. It is always a fantastic occasion. The O2 is a tremendous venue to watch basketball, so make sure you get down there. It will be a great day, Jason, whichever 2 teams make it through.
It will do. It will definitely be one of the highlights of the season, if not the highlight. But as you say, Wembley, the O2, it's making its claim, and over time it will become one of the iconic venues we've had in England.
Well, these 2 teams are hoping to navigate their way through to that final game of the season. But first of all, they've another hour of basketball to play with each other, at least an hour of basketball. 20 more minutes here, and then we head to Bristol on Sunday. 5's making their way out onto court. And the possession arrow favoring Manchester, so they will get the first chance to get points on the board here in this second half, trailing as they do by 3.
Love that every team in the playoffs is a dangerous team. London, you definitely want to avoid them if you're playing in the playoffs to try get to the end goal, because they've been superior to all these other teams. However, every team dangerous.
Well, Manchester and Cheshire, the two teams, as Jones goes to the rim, guaranteed to avoid London before the final.
Max Jones turned that corner really well and put on the jets here. You see that dribble, and then there you go, is the change of speed. If he doesn't do that, that shot gets blocked. Really good change of speed by Max Jones.
So first foul of the game on Kristen. Rattles home for Jones. He's up to 8 personal points.
There's a Liverpool fan in the crowd. What's he doing here in Manchester with the big game approaching on Sunday?
I could say something similar. Right back at you, Jace.
Yeah, I'm not wearing my kit.
Not wearing any distinguishable Liverpool merch today. Here's Holden driving through, and he somehow got a shot away there through the foul. Irving called for it.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, Dan. My time in Manchester has been nice, so thank you for making that come to an end.
Apologies, Jason. So Cam Holden will go to the free throw line. Both teams drawing fouls on the opening possession.
Yeah, how different will it be if Cam Holden can stay in there? That will surely be a plus for Bristol if he can just hang out there, unlike he did in that first quarter.
Oh, nice pass. Jones hanging in the air to finish.
Nice footwork by Max Jones. You are taught as a youngster, if you're denied on the wing, don't stand still and keep walking out. Backdoor cut straight to the hoop by Max Jones, and the spacing was perfect, and DJ Mitchell right on time.
The other thing he told his youngster is, leave the ball alone when it goes through the hoop. You'll get a delay of game warning, which is what he just did. Sort of caught the ball and then held on to it for a second and then just dropped it like, I didn't really hold it.
No.
The referee spotted it though. All tipped away by Adam Takasi. Anderson does a great job to stay in the front court there. Misses the three. Jones attacking again, drops it off to Irvin, who lays it home.
That was nice by Zach Irvin. It will give Cam Holden time to tie up those Ja Morant shoes. I think they're the Jurassic Park ones.
I will leave that knowledge to you.
I knew that, did you?
No.
I may be right. Viewers will probably discuss that now.
Somebody will message in if you're wrong, Jason.
They will, well, Def. Never message if you're right, but if you're wrong, they do. But that was a good catch by Zach Irvin. There, ball at his feet, and he still converted the two.
McCormack. The Oakham. Nobody at the basket, so he goes right in past Jones. Smith, and he gets his own rebound and lays it in.
Well, patting the stats, Yoakum, with the miss and the putback.
Mitchell. Jones knocking down the triple.
That was nice, an inch of daylight. We had a very good view of that.
Delay game warning.
And a technical foul called again. But Max Jones splashed that three from the wing.
Well, they got the warning about, what, 30 seconds ago, a minute ago? And then Mitchell grabs the ball after the score. Well, the fans can boo all the like. The reality is the referee has to call it if an offensive player holds the ball, grabs the ball. They don't have to have it for long. You just can't put your hands on it. They got a warning just a minute ago. You get one warning, and then it's a technical. McCormack trying to thread the needle. Did it get deflected? No, it didn't. Go straight out of bounds for a Manchester ball. Mitchell looking for three. Rattles out, but drops back in.
That's a welcome sight from DJ Mitchell. Looked like it was coming out, went back in. He will really be happy that one went down. Is it the time for DJ Mitchell to shine right now?
Anderson. Kristen. Out to Zach Anderson for three off the mark. Manchester with a little momentum here at the start of the second half. Smith looking to add to that with three. Anderson able to get the rebound.
That is a little technical difficulty. But it's hard to really see how fast he moved those feet. Little steps count, I guess.
Well, the referee was staring right at his feet as well to check for it. Mitchell too strong on the lay-in. Irving gets the offensive rebound. Smith shovels it out to add it to Cassie. 5 on the clock, knocked loose, but illegally so by Kristen. It's his second.
Yeah, and with 3.2 remaining on the shot clock, Kristen did commit the foul, reached over, and it was the wrong play at the wrong time. Manchester catching a break here because for 90% of that possession, Bristol played that very well. Well, Manchester, just as the first half done, they've come out all guns blazing, and they are up right now.
Oh my goodness, Smith leaving Brown on the floor for the layup.
Oh my gosh, welcome to social media, Jonathan Brown, as PJ Smith dropped him, put that guy on skates. We were saying, who is the quickest in the league? That might be a candidate.
Well, here's another look at him. He got him dancing one way, then the other. Feet went out from underneath him, and Smith completes the play. Well, as you say, that will be coming to a phone near you very soon, I feel.
Well, you know your stuff, Dan. I mean, when did that become a huge thing? Because it used to be all about dunking.
Yeah.
But now if you cross somebody over, score or not, the whole building goes absolutely crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I think it is a social media age thing. That's the... You can get excited if you touch the ground or something like that. So everybody gets back up. And anyway, that will be certainly going viral right now. But more importantly for Manchester, 7-0 start to the first half, 14-5 start here to the second half. That's why they're back up by 6.
And you would argue that 6 is the most comfortable it's been for either team, because it's never seemed out of reach. But right now, Bristol calling a timeout because they're slightly on the ropes. Yes, it's the first leg, but you definitely need to hang in there. You don't want this one getting to double figures.
Yeah, it's always that interesting balance of how much do you chase it versus, you know, letting it get away because you chased it too hard.
Yeah.
Still a long way to go in this ball game. 16.5 minutes. Brown. Nice pass to McCormack with the reverse lay-in.
Credit Jonathan Brown for bouncing back straight away. That was a beautiful dime right down the middle.
Mitchell. Added to Cassie. Added to Cassie driving in, blocking foul is the call on Holden. That'll be his third.
Well, like Oseboyan, if you want a clinic on taking charges, Cam Holden is another guy that can show you how it's done. It just looked like he was slightly late on that one, but he always tries to stay in front. The bad news is that is foul number 3 on the number 7.
Well, he will sit down, replaced by Walsh. Brody will come in for McCormack. Brody is also on 3 fouls.
So the game never makes sense. And it was at this time that Cam Holden went out and they were down 2 in the first half. And they're down again and he goes out. Can it be the same response from Bristol? Can Jonathan Brown, Evan Walsh and Will Yorkham provide that backcourt stability that will get that done? Let's see.
Well, they have gone quite small here, Bristol, because Kristen's out there as well, so I'm not 100% sure. Is it Yoakum playing the 4? I'm not sure. Brody's playing the 5, but after that, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, you talking like there's positionless basketball, not in proceedings here. Everybody can play on the outside. The only guy that's standing inside the key will be Brody. Travel called on Yoakum.
Well, his reaction suggests that it was a good call. Duke Shelton into the game.
I think it's much more fun playing sometimes with a smaller unit.
Well, Manchester have got a bit bigger because you've got Shelton added to Cassie and Mitchell out there.
Yeah.
So that Mitchell should have his field day of mismatches, you would have thought. Jones, tough one, doesn't go. Brody's got to hoover up all the rebounds for his team right now.
Good box out by Cam Kristen, though.
Kristen gets all the way to the basket and rocks the rim.
The hesitation is what provided the gap down the middle. Cam Kristen, what a play. Take that, Manchester.
Mitchell. Smith now. Has to bail out of that shot to get it to Jones, who's stumbling. Doesn't get it to go. Brown with the rebound. Almost loses the ball. Pulls up for 3 instead. Doesn't go. Shelton rebounds. Smith into the key.
Nice.
Too much speed for Brody.
That was nice. By the time Brody turned round, I felt sorry for him. At that size, not good for your health, as I've said before, guarding PJ Smith. How fast was that?
Oh, it's deflected by Adetukasi. Jones out to Smith for 3. Oh, halfway down but out. Kristen pushing, floats it, and in for 2.
He's been great. I mean, the game has opened up now. Fast break opportunity at both ends of the floor. But Cam Kristen with Cam Holden out, he's your insurance policy right now.
Joint leading scorer in the game with 15, Kristen. Jones. Out to Adetukasi. Too long on the 45, but Shelton somehow comes up with the rebound and throws it off Walsh to go out of bounds. Walsh has claimed it deflected off Shelton. I don't think it did.
Evan Walsh wants every call that goes, but Duke Shelton threw the ball right at the back of his head.
Well, normally you're supposed to throw it at the legs in that situation, but because he's on the floor, there's not very much to aim at. It's a good header.
It was, definitely. 2 tough guys going after it, and both like to play with emotion and not really showing any unsportsmanlike behaviour towards each other, so you love the competitiveness of both players.
Well, the shot clock was at 4.6. There's a question as to what it should have reset to. It now says 24. I'm not sure it could be 24, can it? Because if it hit the ring, it's an offensive rebound.
Yeah, well, should it have reset to that point? Because did
they
have
2
control?
seconds. It's 2 seconds. They didn't have control. It didn't hit the ring.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Foul off the ball. Is it on Holden? It is on Holden. That's his 4th. Massive foul that. Cam Holden with 3:28 to go in the 3rd quarter picks up his 4th foul. two of them have been like that. That one and the first one, just trying to hold somebody around a screen.
Well, he always walks the tightrope, and I think guarding there, a really good offensive player every single night, which he does, has to play him tough, has to stay out of foul trouble. This time he's on the wrong end of the wall.
Mitchell down the middle, throws it in.
And he will be really glad that Cam Holden's taken a seat.
McCormack driving quick. Oh, that nearly went in. It'll be 2 shots for the Flyers captain.
Yeah, you could see DJ Mitchell when he caught that ball after Cam Holden went out, he just said, I'm putting my head down. Sometimes you need a good defender to go take a seat, and that'll get you going.
Second foul on Irvin. Joachim sits down as Kristen returns. McCormack makes the first.
You know what that means? That means you've got to be even louder. Stop those feet. Let's go.
Short on the second. Brody nearly gets it. Walsh almost came up with it, but it's Shelton who smuggles it away.
McCormack has the challenge here, guarding Donovan Mitchell.
Johnson, mid-range, bottom of the net.
Wow, poise personified, Dan, taking his time while everyone backed up and allowed him to score.
Lob down to Brody, fouled by Shelton, and he'll go to the line.
You have to credit the Flyers. They look like they're on the ropes, and they're 5 points down. That is all, and with 2 free throws going down here, if Jonathan Brody can make them, a 3-point game here on the road with guys in foul trouble. They're doing a great job.
Well, you kind of expect those ones from Johnson just to drop. He's so excellent in that mid-range game. Brody at the free throw line. Makes them both.
Feels like one of those games where all the fuss is about Manchester's play and how well they've played in spurts. But a 3-point game does not lie. Bristol are hanging in there. Credit them right now.
Well, can they keep hanging in with Holden on the bench on 4 fouls? Here's Johnson trying to push them away. Shelton with the rebound. Shot clock doesn't reset. Smith gets it away. Got caught in the face by Kristen. And he'll go to the line for 3, and nobody underneath heard the whistle. They kept playing, but the whistle had already gone for a foul.
Foul given against number 1, Cam Kristen.
Well, there was some confusion from the Manchester players even, not quite sure what was happening, and then PJ Smith went, I got fouled, ref, and he went, yeah, that's what I called. Called a foul. Shelton certainly didn't realize it.
I think the noise in the building really didn't allow the referee's whistle to be heard. Smith now leading all scorers, continuing to pile on the pain for Bristol.
Well, the interesting thing, Manchester have 4 players in double figures, and Bristol only have 1.
Yeah, but everybody who has taken to the court has scored for Bristol.
Well, Manchester's lead is back up to 6. And these important minutes for Bristol in this tie. Walsh. Round the screen. Walsh looking to attack. Kicks it out to Kristen. Kristen has a glance at the shot clock at the other end, creates some room, and hits a tough shot.
The composure of Cam Kristen has been really good for Bristol as an offensive foul is called on Adatu Cassie. But Cam Kristen is just taking his time and exploiting every little chink in the armour that Manchester have. Well, he's been great.
Adatu Cassie, the first player for Manchester to get to 3. It was a tremendous finish by Kristen. Anderson helping his teammate out there. Here's Kristen from the opposite corner. That one rattled out. Mitchell again looking to use his strength and size down on the block. Steps underneath, no way through. Out of bounds, stay with Manchester.
Jonathan Brown giving up size but not strength. He didn't allow Mitchell to get to his spot early.
Carey. Mitchell for 3. No. Brown. Kristen drives hard, and he will go to the line for 2. He's carrying them right now, Cam Kristen.
Yeah, he is. He's all over the basketball court. But I love kind of the what's called the blind pig offense. If you've heard of that, Dan, in the show you have in the half court, that whenever a guy's denied on top, Brody will flash to the top of the key and he'll give the handoff so that if you deny high, back doors are always open. And Jonathan Brody with the presence of mind.
Darnell
Brody, sorry, with the presence of mind to just step up and provide those handoffs. It's a really nice play.
And it's got Cam Kristen to the free throw line.
Yeah, I may know my plays, Dan, but don't ask me the names of the players.
A little short on the first one. It's his first trip to the free throw line. He's 8 of 13 from the floor, so he's shooting the ball really well. Second one is clean. It's a 3-point game once again. Holden back into the game with a minute to go here in the third. Bit of a roll of the dice from Coach Kapoulis. Johnson, lob down to Mitchell. Holden just getting out of the way. Shelton, no, he misses the jam. Screaming for a foul, didn't come. Here's Walsh, pushing. Anderson ties the game at 70.
Wow, what a response from Bristol. Duke Shelton missed the stuff. Donovan Mitchell also holding his hand down.
Well, he sort of collided with the basket. Here's Mitchell. Nothing wrong with the hand there.
There he goes. Always disguise the shot. Pretend like you're injured, then just knock it down.
Last few ticks of the third quarter. Manchester up by that shot. Here's Walsh. Taking it strong to the rim. Basket is good and one for Evan Walsh. Using his strength to muscle Johnson out of the way for a score. I think he's beat him on the step, and then once he's on your side, any contact, there's going to be a defensive foul.
Like many of these players, if you get on the side of them when they have the basketball, you're at their mercy. Evan Walsh, a strong guard compared to Jordan Johnson, muscled his way up and then missed the free throw.
So it is not level at the end of the third quarter. There is a 1-point Manchester lead, and I would say it felt like Manchester really won that quarter, really were in control of that quarter, but Bristol did everything they could do to make it a one-point game, and that's what matters, what's on the scoreboard, not what it feels like.
Yeah, it's a sign of a good team as well, like you say, to feel like they're on the ropes and then just continue to plug away, play their style of basketball. But Cam Christen with 18 points has been huge here in Bristol because he's made up for other players in foul trouble. He's been so good. And as we know, Will Yoakum can explode at any point. So Manchester, as well as Bristol, have their hands full.
Right, 73-72. The stats erroneously gave that free throw is correct, which is how it showed up on the score, on our score graphic as incorrect. But it is a 1-point Manchester lead. And again, Manchester's still down at the low end of the shooting percentage. Bristol going for 56%. They've been really efficient when they've got it. And again, that goes back to those early baskets getting to the rim. In that quarter, it was a bit more difficult for them in transition, but they kept it ticking over.
Yeah, the game did open up at one point, but like you say, 70% shooting from twos has probably been carried over from the first half, but guys getting it done in the half court. So some exceptional basketball from both teams. Fast break in the first half, good half court basketball in the second.
Well, I think Bristol would take a point right now. If they could end the game right now, I think Bristol would be more than happy to head back down the M6, M5 to Bristol, down 1, and let them win the game on Sunday.
Yeah, but, you know, trends have not told us that because they've said that the away teams won every game. So is 1 point deficit enough for Bristol here, or do they have to win going back to their own backyard where Manchester have won twice this year?
Well, that is the question that'll be answered on Sunday, Jason. Well, not one I can answer now. The Flyers won here in Manchester by 3 last time out. The previous trip down in March in Bristol was a 9-point Manchester win. Here's Anderson for 3, and the Flyers are back on top.
Well, they're missing one Anderson, but they're definitely not missing the other. Zach Anderson, another 3-ball.
Mitchell tosses it to Shelton. Back out to Mitchell from 17 feet, gets his own rebound. Extra pass to Jones, he gets fouled by Brown, and will go to the line for 3.
Yeah, and Coach Kapoulis knew it was a foul. He's upset at Jonathan Brown because the cardinal sin of any defender is to foul a 3-point shooter. Manchester had a tough one there, contested one, and you bail Max Jones out.
So Jones can re-establish a Manchester lead here as Nicholson comes in for Shelton.
The 2-game series, like you said, is funny because right now this is just coming up to half-time with 9 minutes remaining. And if that's a regular game, there's no worries here. But you just feel like one team needs the momentum of the win. It will, if it remains tied, just carry over. There won't be any overtime here today.
The only way you can get overtime in aggregate basketball is if the aggregate scores are level at the end of the second leg. Jones knew it was missing, went chasing after it, and commits the foul, bumping in to Anderson. It's a clumsy way to get a second foul. I did wonder at first whether it might be a line violation because he was so quick to the ball. Obviously, the shooter can't go until the ball hits the rim. Walsh. Walsh scoops one up. Oh, that just didn't fall nicely for Brody. Mitchell, back to Jones. Jones trying to find some room, has to come back out. He's got a mismatch now. Steps away for 3, doesn't go. Christen with the rebound. Brody running the floor, the big man out in front, but even he could not pull in that pass, too far in ahead of him.
Yeah, but didn't he run well? It was asking too much of him, really. Cam Christen overthrew the ball, and It's the first mistake he's probably made of the game. 75 each with just under 9 remaining here. Jordan Johnson turned his ankle on that last play. He looks to be running a little bit gingerly.
Mitchell, Jones trying to go back door, deflected away by a Flyers player, or is it? Referee on the baseline signaled a Flyers ball. Bristol are convinced it should be their possession, and it will stay with Manchester. Oh, that's offensive.
Yeah, that was the easiest one we've ever seen. DJ Mitchell, a little bit of frustration, just throws him over in one you cannot argue. Good defense by Zach Anderson.
Well, there's a little bit after the play, Mitchell just sort of threw the ball down and it landed between the legs of Kristen, and Bristol were asking, there's the Cheshire players watching on. Bristol just asking the question as to whether that was worthy of a technical. There was no technical, but there was a little discussion being had with Anderson instead. Well, that's not a good pass. Nicholson picks it off.
Good reactions by Nicholson.
Johnson down to Irvin, who bobbled it, still got a shot away, and Nicholson tips it in.
Zach Irvin never had control of the basketball, and Matt Nicholson helped out his buddy. Is this the time that Manchester can get some separation?
Brown almost loses it, able to keep possession. Brody top of the key, back iron. Rebound Jones. Johnson all the way to the basket, scoops one up and spins it in off the glass.
How good is he at that? Manchester with a 4-point cushion. You can sense something coming right here from the home team.
Well, here's something coming from the away team. A big jam from Brown down the middle.
Jonathan Brown against the tide. Says take that with the left hand. Everybody sit down. What a play by Jonathan Brown.
Well, Brown commits his third personal foul at the other end of the floor.
Well, every time we've sensed something from the home team, the away team have come back fighting. You just cannot rule them out. 2-point basketball game here in Manchester. That's what playoff basketball's all about.
Oh, here's another chance that foul has given us to have a look at this dunk. What a play. And Nicholson will sit down for Ossaboyan.
Gabe Ossaboyan enters the game in the fourth quarter on 0 fouls. You heard it right here.
Well, he's not played much, but he's played more minutes than he did in the final last week, and he fouled out of that one. Here's Johnson splashing the three. The lead is 5.
And he is limping slightly. It might have helped him just to slow down and compose himself for the 3.
Oh, Mitchell rips that away from Brown, keeps it in play. Smith back to Mitchell on the trail for 3, hits it again, and Manchester have a cushion now here early in the fourth quarter. Suddenly they have their biggest lead of the game at 8.
Huge play by Donovan Mitchell on the defensive end, comes up with the steal, kicks it out to PJ Smith, and then he comes back and splashes the 3. Prior to that, Jordan Johnson right on the money, but look at the step in rhythm, practice 3 ball by Mr. Mitchell.
Well, you said a couple of minutes ago, Manchester feel like they've got the momentum. They've now got the scoreboard to show for that. Bristol need to respond again. Every time Manchester have looked like they might get away in this game, Bristol have come up with a couple of big plays, cut it back down to a shot.
Game management at a premium by Andreas Kapoulis. Every time they've gotten a run, he's called a timeout, which has really kind of stopped the bleeding. But I would say psychologically, if you are Manchester, you can get this one to double figures. There is an end in sight because they can kind of get that to 15. Bristol, they need a score right here.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if Cam Holden comes out of this huddle.
I think he will.
He does check back into court. The Bristol Flyers number 7, who has been dealing with foul trouble all game, really. Got a couple of early ones. Got a foul on the first defensive play of the game. He's on 4 with 6:44 to go, but you might as well use it now and see how far he can go. There's no point in saving him for the end of the game and being down 15. Here he is, driving to the rim and lays it in. That's why you need him on the court. And there's your first foul for Gabe Osaboyan.
Yeah, I'll take that one, but all eyes were on him in that timeout. Is he going to come back on the floor? Is he going to get back out here? And he loves when this game is close. He also loves when it's physical. Really nice response.
Converts the three-point play, cuts it back to 5. Osaboyan. Mitchell out to Smith. Smith along the baseline to Osaboyan. 4 on the clock. Johnson gets it away. Did well just to draw iron. Yoakum running the floor, and Smith uses his foot to prevent that pass getting there. Good kick ball.
It was a nice touch by PJ Smith with the right foot. Controlled it very well.
I thought we'd parked football after
we
earlier.
have. Yeah, sorry, we have. It's one of my defaults, Dan. It's not a thing that I enjoy.
Well, Anderson was open for a second there. He gets it at last. He's going to look for 3, and he's going to find it. We said in the timeout, every time Manchester have the momentum, Bristol come up with a couple of big plays, an M1 and a 3. Osaboyan driving down the middle, late whistle. Is it a block? The fists have gone up. Technical foul has been called on somebody. I think it's the bench. Brody was jumping up and down. Blocking foul is the initial call for, it looked at first like they weren't going to call a foul. Here's the Anderson 3 at the other end. And then we can see the block. It looked at first like it wasn't going to be called.
Well, we can't really see where his feet are from that angle, but there's everything going on here. There's three-point shots, there's comebacks, there's decisions to be made, there's technical fouls. You can't say you haven't seen everything already in this game.
Pretty sure that was on the bench rather than Coach Kapoulis, because I think he'd turned around at that point.
I think Coach Kapoulis was trying to get everyone to not react. You can see the bench if we can just keep it.
I still think McCormack's a little unlucky on that one.
Too. The good news is McCormack didn't hurt himself because he was under Osaboyan when he came down.
Well, Osaboyan, radar way off there. He only hit the backboard off to the right.
You very rarely see that. If an air ball goes, it's usually short. And then nearly did the same on the second.
He needs to take a step to the left. So it's still a three-point game. Anderson, Holden pumps on the 3, and Mitchell bit on that and commits the foul.
Not a guy you want to run out on, but Cam Christen and Cam Holden, 4 fouls for Mitchell. Cam Christen and Cam Holden, they're those guys that you love to play with, but just cannot stand playing against. They just will not go away and will not go quietly.
So Mitchell is going to stay out there on 4 fouls. It's Osaboyan who's subbed out. Here's Yoakum. Yoakum lays it in. Mitchell went for the block there. Dangerous thing to do on 4 fouls.
I think Yoakum slowed up, hoping he'd come across, but he'll take the 2 nevertheless.
Cuts it to 1. Great response once again from Bristol. Smith, knocked loose by Yoakum, dives on the floor. Aditokasi comes up with it. Thinks about the 3, takes the 3, misses it. Still Manchester have it. Johnson gets his body into the defender and finishes exactly as Evan Walsh had done to him earlier in the game. He does it right back.
Well, we're going to fall in love by the M1 with Jordan Johnson, but PJ Smith on the play earlier, no business getting that ball and retrieving it. Dove with his outside left hand and give Manchester a second chance. Great hustle by PJ Smith and an even better finish by Jordan Johnson.
And now he can push it to 4 with 4:35 to go.
Well, they have all the big guns in there, Dan. Johnson, Jones, PJ Smith and DJ Mitchell.
But nobody gets back. How do you get beat down court on a made free throw?
Inexcusable. If you want to win, you have to get through assignments, such basic ones like that.
Mitchell looking to back down. Yoakum too strong. Away come Bristol. Holden gets it to McCormack. McCormack short on the 3. Johnson pushing. Anderson is back. Johnson, it's all blocked by Zach Anderson. Great defensive play.
Almost caught that one. Two-handed spike by Zach Anderson. Get that shot out of here.
Well, it looked like his speed was going to be too much at first.
Yeah.
But what a recovery. Aditokasi under pressure from McCormack, lays it home.
Good response by Tim Aditokasi, and with just under 4 remaining, Manchester with a much-needed hoop.
Holden. Kristen will take the 3, that's short. He knew it, went after it, saved it, but only to Jones. Jones has a line to the basket, kicks it out to Johnson, misses the 3. Away come Bristol. Anderson driving to the rim, lays it home.
That was a nice crossover on the semi-break, and Cam Holden is pumped up.
Holden and Jones in discussion on the court. Referee gets in between them. It's a great play by Anderson, seeing that it was Mitchell and he'd have to walk away. But after the play, a little discussion between Holden and Jones. You wouldn't say they were 2 players that were averse to a bit of chat.
You wouldn't. Both have shown on time again this season that they can do that, but some players don't like being out of their comfort zone. Cam Holden is in his comfort zone in that. You can see him smile as he's talking to Max Jones, and he knows getting under your skin is part of his game. Must add, he's a total gentleman as well. A misunderstood guy, you would say.
Yeah, it was just a little nudge between them and then a conversation. Referee Muddyman quickly spotted that, got in between them and made sure it didn't escalate into anything further. Good officiating that.
Very quick too, Tom Muddyman there.
Well, 18-15, the quarter score. It is a 2-point game on the scoreboard, which is the most important number. Remember, this is an aggregate game, so whatever the difference, if there's a difference, at the end of 40 minutes, will be taken down to Bristol on Sunday, where it will be decided. That game, the first of the day on Sunday, 3 p.m. here on DAZN. It is Sunday Fun Day, basketball all day for you. All 4 second legs right after each other. Here's Jones off the mark for 3. Back out to Aditokasi by Irving. Almost lost the ball there, Tim Aditokasi. Mitchell gets the shot away, short. And Anderson able to keep it in play.
Cam Kristen played DJ Mitchell really well there.
Holden drives, drops it out. Nice touch pass from McCormack to Yoakum, and the score's a level at 91.
Really good play by Bristol. Once again, Cam Holden setting the tone. Can they get a elusive victory on the road here?
Here's Mitchell. Strong to the rim, lays it in. You know what, Jason? I know it sounds like sacrilege, but I actually think the best score in a aggregate game in the first leg is a draw.
Yeah.
Because then the maths are taken out of it. Everybody knows what the result is on the... Oh, my goodness, Christian with an incredible finish.
Well, if it finished right now, it would be a draw. 93 each with 147 remaining, all to play for. But, yeah, I agree, Dan. Just turns into a one-game series then.
Irvin lays it home. These teams going blow for blow.
They must be gassed. Cam Holden looks like he's totally out of energy, running on fumes.
Well, he's still out there. He's been on 4 for a long time. McCormack looking for options. Yoakum running the baseline, broken up by Johnson. Manchester can make it a 2-possession game here with just over a minute to go.
If Manchester can win at home, that will buck the trend.
Johnson. Shaking, dancing, needs to get a shot away. Somehow scoops it short. Bristol with numbers here as Johnson is slow to his feet. Anderson puts it on the floor, drops it off to Holden. Traveling violation is the call.
Credit Zach Irvin for getting down court. He was in the opposite corner on the play before and really bust a gut to get down the middle of that key, which meant that Cam Holden travelled. So Manchester with that slender 2-point lead. 2 for 1 time here for the home team.
Will they go quick enough though? They seem to be taking some air out of the ball. Mitchell's looking to go, kicks it out, added to Cassie for 3, knocks it down, big shot with 28 seconds to go. Well, did Bristol take their time here? They'd be wise to. Here's McCormack off the glass, lays it in, 14.8. Manchester are going to call a timeout. They lead by 3. They will probably win the tie from here. The question is by how many? And I think Coach Kapoulis will be saying here, 1 stop here, 3 points we can do on Sunday.
Yeah, 1 stop and try perhaps get to the line. Psychologically, I feel though, if Bristol can tie this one at the other end, what a chance they have at home. But if Manchester, they're so excited because they haven't won at home against this team this year. So if they can continue to get the job done here, gosh.
Did they not win in the cup? Yes, they did win.
Yeah, in the cup, but in the league.
They didn't. In the league,
so the series is tied 2 each in the league.
So 14.8, in theory they could advance the ball, because the 0.8 won't really matter. But presumably they tick it right down and hopefully get a score on the buzzer. 3 would be ideal, but any score on the buzzer. That's the Manchester objective right now.
You have to run it down. You have to win the ball game. So you have to run this one down and not allow Bristol to do anything. However, Bristol will be more than happy leaving this building with a 3-point or a 5-point loss.
Well, they'd rather 3 than 5, that's for sure. Manchester take it in the backcourt, so there will be no shot clock. Manchester can take this one right down to the buzzer. Smith has it, back to Jones. And of course, Bristol on 4 fouls, so they won't want to commit one here and send them to the line. Jones, oh, he's going quick here. He's going a bit too quick, and he's messed it up there. Oh, but it's stolen away by Smith. Did that go off in time? Does that count? Bristol are saying no, Manchester yes. The referees are going to talk to each other. Was that shot off in time? The referees are at the table, can't quite see. There's a bit of chatter between the teams. No basket, says the referee. Stolen away by Smith, and I don't think it was off in time. But Manchester will win the game, and they will take a 3-point lead down to Bristol. This one right in the balance, Jason.
Well, tune in on Sunday, because if you remember last season, Manchester played Newcastle and Mackay Ashton Langford came up short at the end, but in the previous game, Newcastle made a 3 right at the end. That was the difference. Will that basket be huge that didn't count for Max Jones? Only a 3-point cushion, all to play for on Sunday, Dan.
Well, it certainly is. But, I mean, you've got to give Flyers a ton of credit here. No Joe Anderson. Holden, who was the natural fit for the point guard position, in foul trouble the entire game. There were times where Manchester looked like they were going to get away, and every time Bristol responded.
Yeah, I think you've said it all. Credit Bristol Flyers for just hanging around. I think they would have taken the 3-point deficit coming into this one. But you know what I love, Dan? The chippiness is back in English basketball. The Super League has shown this year that these guys and these teams do not like each other. Tune in these next games, because it is fierce and it is competitive.
Well, Manchester applaud their fans. They will be hoping not for the last time. They will be hoping they will be back here next week, but they still have some work to do. They have to go down to Bristol and avoid a loss of 4 points or more. We can look back at some of the highlights of this game. 98-95, what a ball game, Jason.
Yeah, and the bench was the key in the early parts of the game for Bristol, with Cam Holden sitting down. What a game by Cam Christensen, 20 points. Just phenomenal display by Jonathan Brown. You see here dunking the ball. But Manchester, they have the win. Psychology is everything going into game 2.
Well, that is the interesting thing as to how it how this game impacts on that game. Manchester, do they go, oh, we could have won that one by 5, 6, 7, 8 points to Bristol? Think, well, actually, we could have tied that game. There might have been a time for a runaway there had they not turned the ball over. They could possibly have made it a tie ball game. This is the trophy. They got the biggest trophy you've ever seen for the runners-up in ENBL, similar to Newcastle last year. So they've got a chance to at least show the trophy for their efforts in Europe this season, and the fans appreciating it. There's the Quincy Rideau talking to Cam Holden, of course, former teammates at Cheshire, of course, and I'm sure that Quincy will be telling them what they need to do for Sunday. And what a game this has been. It's right set up perfectly. Make sure you are here at 3 o'clock on Sunday on DAZN for the second leg of this one. It should be a thriller. It is Manchester who will take the lead. They won this game by 98 points to 95. For Jason Swain, I'm Daniel Routledge. We'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.
Super League basketball is leveling up British youths. This isn't just a league, it's a movement you can feel and see in the stands. From the first tip to the final buzzer, the story is written. Every drive, every shot, and every moment. Rivalries run deeper, games hit harder. One pass, one dunk, everything can shift. Legacies aren't given here, they're earned. New stories are ready, and new champions are coming. Season 2 is here. Stand tall for British basketball.